The jungle encounter. The dense foliage of the planet Eloria swallowed the last rays of its twin suns, plunging the jungle into an eerie twilight. Leo Mercer wiped sweat from his brow, cursing the oppressive humidity that clung to his skin like a second layer. He had been on this expedition for weeks, his only companions were his thoughts and a data pad filled with notes on various alien species he had encountered. Another bust, he muttered to himself as he scrolled through his notes. The local fauna was fascinating but ultimately unhelpful in his quest for discovery. At 35 years old, he was beginning to feel like his mother was right. Maybe he should have settled down back on Earth instead of chasing exotic adventures across the galaxy. A distant scream shattered his self-pity. Instinctively, his hand went to the pulse rifle strapped across his back as he crouched behind a massive tree trunk. The sound came again, definitely humanoid and definitely female, echoing through the thick underbrush. He moved silently through the tangled roots and vines, his years of training as a ranger taking over. As he reached a small clearing, he froze at the sight before him. 3 burly raiders with scaled hides gleaming in the dim light were dragging a struggling figure between them. His heart raced as he recognized her, a petite woman with flawless azure skin that shimmered like starlight even in captivity. Despite her small stature, she fought fiercely against her captors. "The boss will pay triple for this one," one of the raiders growled. "Let me go." "You cowards," she shouted defiantly, her voice musical despite her anger. "Your spirits ain't here now," another raider laughed cruelly. Leo assessed the situation quickly, 3 armed hostiles and 1 civilian in distress. The odds were not in his favor, but he had faced worse before. He reached into his pack and pulled out a sonic grenade designed to disorient enemies with sound waves. With a swift toss, he activated it just as it landed near the raiders' feet. The explosion of sound sent them reeling, their sensitive hearing overwhelmed by the blast. Seizing the moment, Leo burst from cover and dropped the first raider with a clean shot before he could recover. The second raider managed to raise his weapon but received a boot to the face instead, an impressive move from their captive who had finally broken free from their grasp. The third raider stumbled backward in shock as she swept his legs out from under him with a graceful kick that would have impressed any martial artist. "Are you okay?" Leo asked as he turned to face her. She looked up at him with wide silvery eyes filled with both gratitude and fear. "You're human," she gasped, scrambling backward until she bumped against a fallen tree trunk. Leo raised an eyebrow in confusion. "Last time I checked," he replied lightly, trying to ease her tension. "Is that a problem?" "My sister warned me about your kind," she said cautiously, still eyeing him like he might spring at any moment. "Violent and unstable, mating at random without proper cycles." He blinked at her words before bursting into laughter despite himself. "I think there's been some misunderstanding here," he said between chuckles. "I am Nia," she introduced herself cautiously. "Nice to meet you, Nia," Leo said as he holstered his weapon slowly. "And I just saved you from being sold off by those thugs." Nia's expression shifted from fear to suspicion as she examined him closely. "Perhaps you want something else in exchange for my freedom?" Leo shook his head vigorously. "Nope. Just doing my part for intergalactic goodwill." She narrowed her eyes at him but seemed to relax slightly when she realized he posed no immediate threat. "The night hunters are waking," she said suddenly, glancing nervously toward the darkening jungle. "What do you mean?" Leo asked. "I can control them," Nia replied hesitantly but then looked down at her dampening cuffs with frustration etched on her face. "Let me help with those," Leo offered cautiously as he approached her slowly. Nia allowed him closer but kept her guard up as if expecting him to sprout wings or something equally ridiculous at any moment. The cuffs were standard Imperial make, child's play for someone who had spent years disabling poacher tech back on Earth. "There we go," Leo said as they fell away from her wrists. "Now about those night hunters." A loud roar echoed through the trees nearby, making Nia's eyes widen in alarm. They're close. Then we should probably get moving before they show up, Leo suggested urgently. Nia nodded quickly and began moving deeper into the jungle with an agility that left him both awed and envious. As they navigated through thick underbrush together, an unlikely pair, the battle-hardened human ranger alongside the mystical blue huntress, Leo couldn't help but feel an unusual bond forming between them amidst this chaos. "Can you really control these night hunters?" he asked after they had put some distance between themselves and danger. Nia paused briefly before turning around to face him again. Silver light began spilling from her eyes like moonlight illuminating their surroundings momentarily before fading once more into darkness. "Yes," she said softly but confidently now that they were out of immediate danger. "But I need focus." Leo felt compelled to help this remarkable creature who had fought so bravely against those raiders despite being captured herself moments before, and so began their journey together into unknown territories filled with danger yet also promise, a promise of friendship forged through shared struggles against adversity lurking within shadows just beyond reach. The Spirit Callers. The village of Eloria was nestled within a vast clearing, surrounded by towering trees that seemed to touch the stars. As Leo and Nia emerged from the jungle, the sounds of battle faded behind them, replaced by the rhythmic pulse of drums and the soft murmurs of the villagers. The air was thick with the scent of flowers and smoke from cooking fires, creating an atmosphere that felt both welcoming and foreign. Nia led Leo through the village, her silver eyes scanning their surroundings as if she were searching for something, or someone. The villagers, adorned in vibrant fabrics and intricate jewelry, paused in their activities to watch the unusual pair with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Whispers rippled through the crowd as they recognized Nia, their spirit caller, walking beside a human. "Who is this?" An elder woman with deep lines etched into her face approached them. Her voice was steady, but Leo could sense the underlying tension in her posture. "This is Leo," Nia introduced him, her tone firm. "He saved me from the raiders." The elder's gaze shifted between Nia and Leo, her expression unreadable. "A human? Here?" "Yes," Nia replied, her voice unwavering. "He fought alongside me." The elder nodded slowly, her eyes narrowing as she assessed Leo. "You must understand our ways if you are to remain here." Leo felt a wave of responsibility wash over him. He had come to Eloria seeking adventure and knowledge, but now he realized he had stumbled into something much deeper, a culture that revered its spirit callers and held ancient traditions close to its heart. "I'm willing to learn," he said earnestly. "Whatever it takes." With a curt nod, the elder motioned for them to follow her into a large communal hut at the center of the village. Inside, the air was warm and filled with the aroma of herbs and spices. The walls were adorned with tapestries depicting stories of spirit animals and legendary battles fought by their ancestors. "Sit," she instructed, gesturing toward a low table surrounded by cushions. As they settled down, Nia glanced at Leo with a hint of concern in her eyes. "You must respect our customs," she whispered urgently. "This is not just about you." Leo nodded, understanding that he was an outsider in a world that operated on different rules than his own. The elder began to speak in a melodic tone, recounting tales of their people's connection to the spirits that roamed their land. "Our ancestors believed that every creature has a spirit that guides it," she explained. "The spirit callers like Nia have the rare gift to communicate with these beings. They form bonds that allow them to harness their powers." "What kind of powers?" Leo asked, genuinely intrigued. "The ability to summon spirit animals for protection or guidance," Nia interjected. "But it requires immense focus and trust." The elder nodded in agreement. "It is not just about power, it is about harmony with nature. You must understand this if you wish to help." Leo leaned forward, captivated by their beliefs. "How can I assist?" Nia's expression softened as she watched him engage with her culture. "You can train with me," she suggested quietly. "Learn how to connect with the spirits." "Training?" Leo echoed, excitement bubbling within him at the prospect of learning something new. Yes, Nia affirmed, determination shining in her eyes. But it will not be easy. The elder raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical but intrigued by Leo's enthusiasm. If you wish to learn our ways, you must first prove your intentions are pure. What do you mean? Leo asked. You will undergo a trial, she said firmly. A test to see if you are worthy of our trust. Nia's gaze flickered between Leo and the elder. What kind of trial? The elder smiled enigmatically. You will face the spirits themselves. As dusk settled over Eloria, casting long shadows across the village, preparations began for Leo's trial. Villagers gathered around a large fire pit in the center of the clearing, their faces illuminated by flickering flames as they chanted ancient songs that resonated deep within Leo's chest. Nia stood beside him as they watched villagers prepare offerings for the spirits. Fruits, flowers, and small tokens crafted from natural materials were laid out in intricate patterns around the fire. This is where it begins, Nia said softly, her voice barely audible over the rhythmic drumming. What happens now? Leo asked nervously. The spirits will come, she replied simply. As night fully enveloped Eloria, an otherworldly hush fell over the village. The air crackled with energy as if something unseen was stirring just beyond their perception. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees, a sound both majestic and terrifying. From within the shadows emerged a massive creature covered in iridescent scales that shimmered like starlight against its dark backdrop. Leo's breath caught in his throat as he took in its magnificent form. It was easily twice his height with 6 powerful legs ending in razor-sharp claws and an elongated head adorned with rows of glistening teeth. This is Terra, Nia whispered reverently as she stepped forward confidently toward the beast. Leo watched in awe as Nia reached out to stroke Terra's scaled hide gently. An undeniable bond existed between them, a connection forged through trust and understanding. Can I touch her? Leo asked hesitantly. Nia nodded encouragingly but warned him softly, approach slowly. He took a deep breath and moved closer to Terra, extending his hand cautiously toward her snout. To his surprise, she leaned down slightly as if inviting him closer rather than recoiling from his touch. See? She senses your intentions, Nia encouraged him with pride evident in her voice. Just then another roar erupted from deeper within the jungle, a second spirit making its entrance into their gathering space. This one was smaller but equally fierce, its fur glowed softly under moonlight like embers flickering against darkness. Another spirit. Leo exclaimed excitedly. Yes. Nia beamed as she recognized it immediately, a sleek feline creature known for its agility and cunning nature among their people. As more spirits began to emerge from shadows, each one unique yet equally mesmerizing, Leo felt an overwhelming sense of belonging wash over him. He understood now why Nia had fought so fiercely against those raiders, why she had risked everything to protect this bond between herself and these magnificent creatures. Are you ready for your trial? Nia asked, suddenly breaking through his reverie. What do I need to do? He replied eagerly yet nervously, aware that this moment would determine whether he could truly be part of this world they shared together or remain just another outsider forever lost among alien landscapes. You must connect with one of them, she instructed firmly but gently, guiding him toward Terra, who stood patiently awaiting his approach once more, their bond growing stronger each passing moment they spent together amidst swirling energies surrounding them both like ethereal tendrils weaving through time itself. With determination coursing through his veins like fire igniting within him, Leo reached out once more, feeling Terra respond beneath his fingertips, their connection blossoming into something beautiful beyond comprehension. Training the unlikely duo. The sun rose over the village of Eloria, casting golden rays through the thick foliage and illuminating the clearing where Leo and Nia trained. The air was filled with the sounds of morning, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant calls of spirit animals awakening to greet the day. Leo stood in the center of the training area, adjusting his stance as he prepared for another session with Nia. Focus, Leo, Nia instructed, her voice steady yet encouraging. She sat cross-legged on a moss-covered stone, her silver eyes fixed on him. You must channel your energy if you want to connect with Terra and the other spirits. I'm trying, Leo replied, wiping sweat from his brow. But it's harder than it looks. Nia tilted her head slightly, a hint of amusement dancing in her eyes. You're a human. Your emotions are like a storm, chaotic and powerful. But you need to harness that energy. Leo took a deep breath, recalling their previous sessions where he had struggled to maintain control over his emotions. The first time he had tried to summon Terra, he had inadvertently frightened her away with his anxiety. All right, let's do this, he said, determination flooding his voice. Close your eyes, Nia instructed. Feel the energy around you, the pulse of the jungle, the heartbeat of the spirits. He complied, shutting out the world around him and focusing inward. The sounds of nature faded as he concentrated on his breathing. Inhale, exhale. He visualized the energy flowing through him like a river, powerful yet serene. Good, Nia encouraged softly. Now imagine that energy extending beyond yourself, into Terra, into the spirit world. Leo pictured Terra in his mind, a magnificent creature with iridescent scales and fierce loyalty. He reached out mentally, hoping to establish a connection. Suddenly, he felt a surge of warmth wash over him, a sensation that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Let it flow, Nia whispered from a distance, sensing his struggle. Just as he began to feel a connection with Terra, a loud rustling erupted from the nearby bushes. Leo's eyes snapped open as he instinctively reached for his pulse rifle. Stay calm, Nia urged, her eyes glowing silver as she prepared to commune with whatever spirit was approaching. From the underbrush emerged a small spirit creature resembling a cross between a fox and a dragon, its fur shimmering like starlight against the morning sun. It approached cautiously but confidently, its large eyes studying Leo curiously. Meet Lyra, Nia said with a smile. She's playful but fierce when needed. Leo lowered his weapon slowly, entranced by Lyra's beauty. What does she want? She senses your energy, Nia explained. She wants to play, a good sign that you're beginning to connect with the spirits. Lyra bounded forward playfully, nipping at Leo's boot before darting back into the foliage. Leo chuckled despite himself, there was something infectious about her energy. See? Spirits are drawn to those who are open and genuine, Nia said encouragingly. All right then, Leo said with renewed enthusiasm. Let's play. As they engaged in a game of chase through the clearing, Leo trying to catch Lyra while Nia watched with amusement, he felt an unexpected joy bubbling within him. It was refreshing to let go of his worries and embrace this moment of lightheartedness. After several minutes of laughter and playful antics, Leo finally managed to catch Lyra by gently scooping her up in his arms. She squirmed playfully before settling against him, her warm body vibrating with excitement. Now that you've made a connection, Nia said as she approached them, let's see if you can summon Terra again. Leo nodded eagerly but felt a twinge of anxiety creeping back in. He didn't want to disappoint Nia or himself after making progress. Remember what I taught you, she reminded him gently. Focus on your breath and let go of your fears. He took another deep breath and closed his eyes once more. This time he imagined Lyra's playful energy merging with his own, a symbiotic dance that fueled his confidence. As he focused on Terra again, Leo felt an overwhelming sense of warmth enveloping him, a bond forming between them that transcended words or thoughts. Suddenly, he sensed Terra's presence approaching from behind him. Opening his eyes slowly, he turned just in time to see Terra materializing from the shadows of the trees, her scales glimmering brilliantly in the sunlight as she stepped forward gracefully. You did it! Nia exclaimed joyfully as she clapped her hands together. Leo beamed at her praise but quickly turned his attention back to Terra. He reached out cautiously toward her massive head and felt an electric connection spark between them as their energies intertwined. "This is incredible," he breathed in awe as Terra leaned down to nuzzle against him affectionately. Nia watched them closely, pride evident in her expression as she observed their bond grow stronger before her eyes. "Now you can begin training together." "What do I need to do?" Leo asked excitedly. "You'll learn how to communicate with her using your emotions," Nia explained. "It's not just about commands, it's about understanding each other on a deeper level." Leo nodded eagerly. This was what he had been hoping for since arriving on Eloria, to truly connect with these magnificent creatures and understand their world. As they began their training session anew, Terra responding intuitively while Leo learned how to channel his emotions into guiding her movements, he couldn't help but feel grateful for this opportunity that had come unexpectedly into his life. Hours passed as they practiced various exercises designed to strengthen their bond further, Leo learning how to project his thoughts while also being receptive to Terra's instincts in return. However, just as they were making significant progress, a sudden commotion erupted from beyond the village perimeter. A cacophony of shouts mixed with ominous growls echoed through the trees, causing both Leo and Nia to freeze mid-action. "What is happening?" Leo asked urgently as adrenaline surged through him once more. Nia's expression shifted from joy to concern instantly. She turned toward where the sounds originated, her silver eyes narrowing in determination. "It seems our training will have to wait, danger is near." Leo felt a rush of anxiety wash over him but quickly steeled himself for action. This was why they had been training, to protect each other and their home from threats lurking just beyond sight. "Let's go," he shouted decisively as they raced toward the source of chaos together, Terra following closely behind them ready for whatever lay ahead. As they approached the edge of the village clearing, their hearts pounding in unison, the sight before them sent chills down their spines. Raiders had returned once more, this time armed and ready for revenge against those who had thwarted their plans before. The raiders' return. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village of Eloria. Leo and Nia stood at the edge of the clearing, their hearts racing from the recent chaos. The raiders had returned, and this time they were more organized and ruthless than before. Leo could see their grim faces through the trees, their weapons glinting ominously in the fading light. "We have to prepare," Nia said, her voice laced with urgency. "They won't stop until they have what they want." "Which is what exactly?" Leo asked, scanning the area for signs of movement. "You?" Nia nodded solemnly. "They believe I am a powerful spirit caller, and they want to use my abilities for their own gain." Leo clenched his fists, anger boiling within him. "Not on my watch." He turned to Terra, who stood protectively by his side, her scales shifting to a deep crimson as she sensed the tension in the air. "We need to rally the villagers and prepare for an attack." Nia's eyes widened slightly. "You want to fight?" "Of course." Leo replied, determination fueling his words. "We can't let them take you or harm anyone else in this village." Nia hesitated for a moment, then nodded, her resolve strengthening. "All right. Let's do this together." They raced back into the village, where chaos was already unfolding. Villagers were gathering weapons, bows, spears, and makeshift shields, as fear and adrenaline coursed through the air. Leo felt a surge of pride as he watched them prepare to defend their home. "Listen up!" Leo shouted, commanding attention as he climbed onto a low platform in the center of the clearing. "The raiders are coming. They want to take Nia and destroy our village. We must stand together and fight." A murmur rippled through the crowd as villagers exchanged worried glances. Nia stepped forward beside Leo, her presence commanding respect. "I can call upon the spirits for aid," she declared, her silver eyes glowing with determination. "But I need your trust and your courage." The villagers nodded slowly, their fear transforming into resolve as they rallied around Nia and Leo. "Let's show them that we will not back down," Leo shouted, raising his weapon high above his head. The crowd erupted into cheers, fear replaced by a fierce determination to protect their home. As night fell over Eloria, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The villagers took their positions around the perimeter of the clearing while Nia stood at the center, preparing to summon the spirits for battle. "Remember," she instructed them firmly, "the spirits will respond to our emotions. We must remain focused and united." Leo positioned himself near Nia, feeling a sense of camaraderie with her and the villagers. He could sense Terra's presence beside him, an unwavering force ready to protect them all. Suddenly, distant shouts echoed through the trees. Raiders were approaching fast. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they drew nearer. "Get ready!" Leo shouted as he raised his pulse rifle, adrenaline surging through him once more. As the raiders broke through the tree line, their fierce faces illuminated by torches, Leo felt a surge of fear wash over him, but it quickly transformed into determination as he remembered why he was fighting. "Now!" Nia cried out as she raised her arms toward the sky. In an instant, a brilliant light erupted from her hands, a luminous energy that pulsed with life and power. The ground shook as spirit animals emerged from the shadows, massive creatures with iridescent scales and fierce eyes joining their cause. Leo watched in awe as Terra leaped forward alongside other spirit beasts, each one embodying strength and resilience. The raiders hesitated momentarily at the sight of these formidable creatures but quickly regained their composure. "Charge!" one of the raider leaders shouted angrily as they surged forward with weapons drawn. The battle erupted into chaos, a cacophony of roars from spirit beasts mingling with shouts from villagers and cries from raiders filled the air. Leo fired his pulse rifle with precision, taking down raider after raider while Terra fought valiantly by his side. Nia moved gracefully among them, summoning spirits to aid in combat, her connection with them growing stronger as she channeled her energy into each call. The spirits responded fiercely. They fought alongside their human allies with an intensity that was awe-inspiring. Leo ducked behind a tree trunk for cover as a volley of blaster fire whizzed past him. He glanced over at Nia. She was focused intently on summoning another spirit, a massive bird that soared overhead before diving toward a group of raiders. "Keep pushing!" Leo shouted to his fellow villagers as they fought bravely against overwhelming odds. The battle raged on, both sides suffering losses, but Leo felt a surge of hope each time he saw Nia summon another spirit animal to join their fight. She was becoming more powerful with each passing moment, her connection to them deepening as she fought for her people. Suddenly, one of the raiders broke through their defenses, a hulking brute with scars etched across his face who charged directly at Nia with a menacing roar. "Nia!" Leo shouted instinctively as he aimed his weapon at the approaching threat. Before he could pull the trigger, Terra lunged forward with incredible speed, her massive form colliding with the raider in midair. The impact sent both creatures tumbling to the ground in a flurry of claws and teeth. Leo's heart raced as he watched Terra grapple with the raider. He could see her fierce determination shining through even amidst chaos surrounding them both. "Nia! Focus on Terra. Help her," he yelled urgently. Nia nodded resolutely. She closed her eyes briefly before raising her hands once more, a surge of silver light enveloping Terra as she channeled her energy into aiding her spirit companion in battle. With renewed strength fueled by Nia's connection, Terra roared defiantly before launching herself back into combat against the raider who had dared to challenge her. The tide began to turn. The villagers rallied around Nia's spirit calling while Leo continued firing at any remaining threats that approached too closely for comfort. But just when it seemed victory was within reach, a loud explosion echoed through the clearing. A trap set by another group of raiders hidden among nearby trees detonated violently. Leo was thrown backward by force. Pain radiated through him as he struggled to regain his footing amidst smoke and chaos surrounding him. "Nia!" he called out desperately through coughing gasps, fear gripping him tightly like an iron vice. A new alliance. The chaos of battle had subsided, leaving the village of Eloria in a tense silence. As the last echoes of gunfire faded, Leo and Nia stood amidst the remnants of the fight, surveying the aftermath. The raiders had retreated, but not without leaving their mark. Wounded villagers and fallen spirit beasts lay scattered across the clearing. Leo felt a mix of relief and sorrow wash over him. They had won this battle, but at what cost? He turned to Nia, who was kneeling beside a wounded spirit beast, her silver eyes filled with concern. "We need to help them," she said urgently, her voice trembling slightly. "Right," Leo replied, shaking off his own feelings of helplessness. He moved to assist her, using his training to assess the injuries of both villagers and spirit animals. "We'll get through this together." As they worked side by side, a sense of camaraderie began to blossom between them. Leo admired Nia's gentle touch as she tended to the creatures. Her connection with them was evident in every movement she made. It reminded him of why he had come to Eloria in the first place, to learn about this world and its inhabitants. After tending to the immediate wounds, Leo looked around at the villagers who were beginning to gather again, their faces still etched with fear but also determination. "We need to discuss our next steps," he said, raising his voice so everyone could hear. Nia nodded in agreement as she stood beside him. "The raiders will return," she warned. "They will not give up easily." An elder from the village stepped forward, his expression grave. "We cannot allow them to threaten our home again. We must take action." "What do you suggest?" Leo asked, eager for a plan. "We need to form an alliance," the elder said firmly. "If we unite our strength with that of the spirit animals, we can create a formidable defense against future attacks." Nia's eyes lit up at the idea. "Yes. If we can strengthen our bond with the spirits and train together, we can become even more powerful." Leo felt a surge of hope at her words. "Then let's start now," he declared. "We'll train together, villagers and spirit callers alike, to prepare for whatever comes next." The villagers murmured in agreement, their resolve strengthening as they began to gather supplies and weapons for training sessions. Leo felt invigorated by their determination. He knew that together they could face any challenge. Over the next few days, training became a daily ritual in Eloria. Leo worked tirelessly alongside Nia and the villagers, teaching them combat techniques while they learned how to summon and communicate with their spirit animals more effectively. Each session brought them closer together as they shared knowledge and honed their skills. Nia's abilities as a spirit caller grew exponentially as she learned to channel her emotions into her calls. She could summon multiple spirits at once now, each one responding eagerly to her commands. The bond between her and Terra deepened as well. They moved in perfect harmony during training exercises. Leo marveled at how far they had come since that first chaotic encounter in the jungle. The villagers were no longer fearful, they were empowered and ready to defend their home. One evening, after an intense day of training, Leo found himself sitting beside Nia near a small fire that crackled softly under the stars. The air was cool but filled with warmth from their shared camaraderie. "You've come a long way," Nia said quietly, glancing at him with admiration. "I couldn't have done it without you," Leo replied sincerely. "You've taught me so much about this world, and about myself." Nia smiled softly, her cheeks flushing slightly under the moonlight. "I never thought I would find an ally like you, a human who fights for our people." Leo chuckled lightly but then grew serious again. "I want you to know that I'm here for you, whatever happens next." Just then, a distant roar echoed through the night, a sound that sent chills down their spines. "What was that?" Nia asked, her expression shifting from warmth to concern. "Sounds like trouble," Leo replied grimly as he stood up quickly. They rushed toward the source of the noise, hearts pounding in unison as they navigated through the village toward the edge of the clearing where they had trained so hard. As they reached the perimeter, they saw figures emerging from the shadows, raiders once again attempting to infiltrate Eloria. This time they were led by Commander Zorak, the same ruthless leader who had orchestrated previous attacks against them. "Prepare yourselves. Zorak shouted menacingly as he raised his weapon high above his head. "Everyone! To your positions!" Leo yelled back, rallying the villagers behind him while Nia summoned Terra and other spirit beasts for support. The villagers moved quickly into formation, each one taking their place alongside their spirit companions as they prepared for battle once more. Leo felt adrenaline surging through him again. He knew this would be a defining moment for them all, a chance not only to protect their home but also to prove themselves against those who sought to destroy it. "Stay close," Nia urged him as she positioned herself next to Terra, their bond stronger than ever before. As Zorak's forces charged forward with weapons drawn, Leo took aim and fired his pulse rifle into their ranks, his shots precise and calculated as he fought alongside his newfound allies. The clash of steel against steel rang out through the night as villagers fought valiantly alongside their spirit beasts, each one embodying courage and resilience against overwhelming odds. Leo could see Nia moving gracefully among them, her silver eyes glowing fiercely as she called upon spirits to aid in battle once more. Together they were unstoppable, a force united against darkness threatening their home. With every roar from Terra echoing through the clearing and every villager standing firm beside him, Leo felt hope ignite within him like never before. This was not just about survival, it was about forging bonds that would last beyond any battle fought tonight. As dawn broke over Eloria once more, the sun rising triumphantly above them, it illuminated not just victory but also unity forged through struggle, a new alliance born from courage and determination ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.